I don't think I fully realized that I was gay before this happened, but I used to go on these like sailing, surfing trips with my dad and his best friend and his son Colin, who was a few years older than me. And I remember like being pretty excited every time I saw Colin, like in a confusing way. Like I would see him and I just remember like wanting to look at him and being like pretty infatuated with him. I mean, he was dreamy, okay? So one time, the four of us are sailing out to the islands for like a 3-day surf trip. So we're all wearing board shorts, it's super windy, and Colin is sitting at like a 90-degree angle to me. And the way he was sitting and the way the wind was blowing was making it so his shorts kept flapping open in the wind. And from where I'm sitting, I can't help but notice that every time his shorts flap open, I'm getting a full-on visual shot of his goods. And as we're sailing from Anchorage to Anchorage, Colin kept sitting in the exact same seat. So of course I kept sitting in my favorite seat and I kept getting great shots. Now I was being discreet on the first day, but on the second day, Colin's sitting there and I'm just like literally daydreaming, staring. I don't think it was even intentional. I just like, my eyes were drawn. I couldn't help it. But anyways, I'm staring and I look up and Colin is staring right at me. He definitely knew exactly what I was looking at because he closed his legs, gave me kind of like a semi-shocked look, and then looked away. I'm freaking out at this point. Like, I'm feeling like he just caught me. I'm feeling humiliated. I'm feeling excited. I'm terrified that he's going to tell my dad what I was looking at. Like, completely in shock. But as I'm sitting there panicking, about a minute or two later, Colin opens his legs back up and positions himself like perfectly so that everything is even more visible than it had been before. So I couldn't tell if he was like positioning himself this way on purpose or if he had just not noticed what I was actually looking at. I don't know. But either way, I went back to enjoying the view. Now, as I'm just sitting there enjoying the view again, Colin makes eye contact with me again. And he keeps doing that every single time that I glance over. He's staring right at me. But then he keeps putting his leg back in the same position. So now I'm really freaking confused. So I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm freaking out because I have to share a cot with this guy that's like tiny and we're basically pressed up against each other. And I'm honestly like worried that he's going to start talking to me about it that night. So flash forward to that night, everybody's going to bed and it's time for me and Colin to go to our cabin. So I brush my teeth and like go in the cabin. I get right under the covers and I'm like on my side, covering my face, like hoping that he's not going to talk to me, right? So Colin comes in and he starts chatting with me about the surf that day. It doesn't bring up anything about what he saw me looking at. And as we're chatting about the surf, Colin starts getting ready to get into bed too. And he just starts taking off his clothes right in front of me. Everything. Had never done that before. And then he climbs into bed next to me. And I'm out of time again. Sorry, follow for part 2.